All right, let's look at Alice project number 1. This is our first look at writing our own code that includes decision structures in Java. What we've done here is actually even introduced you to a new set of classes and methods for getting dates, and we're going to use the current time that we get from the date class to determine what kind of greeting we should provide the user when they run this program. In order to use the calendar, Java has a couple of different types of calendars, but the calendar that we're going to be using is called the Gregorian calendar class. And in order to get it, we need to either import all of the java.util package or specifically the Gregorian calendar class. We could put java.util.star and we'd be okay here. However, I've gone ahead and just imported the class that we're using. The Gregorian calendar class gives us ways to access and manipulate dates and times by creating a Gregorian calendar class object. And we're doing that here in my code on line 13. We say, in order to create the object, we start out with the class name because it's essentially our data type. So this is going to be a Gregorian calendar object. I've called it calendar. You may have changed it. We could call it current time, current date time, whatever you want, equals new Gregorian calendar. Now when we call it this way, this will load calendar with the current date and time. What we can then do is get parts of that date and time. The PDF reading that you will have available to you lists all of the different functions that we have for getting date and time. And getting parts of the date and time out of a Gregorian calendar object. In this case, we're going to use we're going to call the get method and provide it the hour of day constant, and it's going to return to us a number between 0 and 23, which is going to give us the hour of the day in military time. So midnight is 0, 12 is 12, 5 is 1700, would be 17, 8 o'clock would be 20, 10 would be 22, and so on. You can figure out the time by once you get past 12 noon by just subtracting 12 will tell you what time it is in AM and PM. But we're not interested in that. We're interested in one integer number to tell us what time it is during the day. We're then going to take that and call our determine time of day function, which is going to give us back a string. Now down here you'll see my determine time of day function. You can see here I've put in quite a few comments describing what the method does, what kind of data it needs, and what kind of data it is going to give back to us once we're finished. You will see that it is public, static. It is going to return a string. I have called it determine time of day. It requires an integer to do its work. We're going to assume that integer is the current hour of the day. Inside this method, this method basically consists of one decision structure. And what we're doing here is we're asking the question, is hour less than 12? So if it's less than 12 noon, then it's probably the morning. If the hour is less than 17, then if the hour is less than 17, which is 5 p.m., then it's going to be the afternoon. Now this is only going to be checked if this is false. So basically what this says just by the way the statements are set up is if the hour is greater than or equal to 12 noon but less than 17. And the reason that we know that is because if it is less than 12, then then this statement will be true and this will be executed. If it is greater than or equal to 12, then it's going to be false and it's going to drop down to the next state to the first else that it encounters. So we get to this else and then we also see an if. So now we've got hour is less than 17. So is the current hour less than 17? If that is true, if that statement is true, then we'll return afternoon. And then if none of the above are correct, if this statement also, if this test here returns false, then we're going to fall into this else and return the value evening. That is going to be those, and you can see we're using return statements. So that means that it's going to send that value back to where the method was called. So by calling it in the print line function, what we're doing is say good and print out good and the result of the time of day, the determined time of day method. Now I'm going to warn you, I'm running this program at 12:22 a.m. That means it's after midnight. So I should get an hour of 0. Let's see what happens. We're going to go ahead and create the Gregorian calendar object, and we're going to go ahead and get the current hour. Now I'm looking in here and my hour is 0. I'm correct because it's midnight. So it's going to take that and it's going to pass that value 0 into determined time of day. And determined time of day is going to look at it and say, is 0 less than 12? And in this case it is. So we're going to return the statement morning and print out the value good morning. And that's essentially how that's going to work. Now you'll have to run this program at various times of day to test to make sure everything works. You'll have to run it once after 12 noon and then once again after 5 p.m. in order to see if this program works properly. But you get the idea. Again, this is just a quick introduction to the date class combined with information on using the decision statements. If you have any questions about this assignment, you can drop me an email at bsimbeck@ccac.edu, or make a list, bring them to me in class, and we'll discuss them there. I hope you enjoyed this, and you can move on to your next exercise, the guessing game.